So I haven't exactly been honest with you. Let's have a chat. So you probably noticed this isn't the Power Wagon anymore, and you know, the Power Wagon was probably one of my most favorite trucks that I ever had, but to be honest, it does off-roading stuff very well, but it didn't do certain truck stuff very well. If you hooked up to any kind of a trailer with any weight in it, you pretty much were getting 5 to 6 miles to the gallon, which isn't necessarily a terrible thing until you're doing that on a pretty regular basis. So that truck sounded absolutely amazing bumping off the rev limiter, and that Hemi, that was my first Ram truck ever, and I almost got disowned when I bought that truck because I come from a long line of Ford owners. But yeah, if you had any kind of trailer behind you, you pretty much got 5 to 6 miles to the gallon. And I did that going all the way back from Texas, about 16 hours at 5 to 6 miles to the gallon. And then I did it again this April, going up to Fort Robinson, Nebraska with the Scout Troop, just pulling our cargo trailer in a little bit of a headwind. Got about 6 miles to the gallon for about 3.5 to 4 hours. So I started thinking about my practical use of the truck, and I kind of made a determination that I need a truck that does more truck stuff, more so than doing off-roading stuff. So I started searching for trucks, and I'll get out of the way here. I found this thing. This is a 2019 F-250 Power Stroke. It's my very first diesel truck that I've ever owned. I've driven diesels before, but this one I own. And I found it on cargurus.com. I actually, gotta be honest, when I did that 3.5-year Power Wagon update, that was the beginning in my mind of the goodbye to the Power Wagon, because I had begun my search and I was not expecting to find this truck until August, September timeframe. Just because most of the diesels that are used out there in the market, they're kind of clapped out, road hard pieces of crap. And this popped up on Car Gurus. I was looking about once a week, and it was at Ken Garff Ford in Greeley. And I'm going to talk about them towards the end of the video because it was interesting. But so like I said, I was looking. I wasn't looking, but I was looking, and I sent this picture of this truck to my friend Marty, and he said, man, you need to go look at that thing right now. So I went over to Greeley and actually drove it over to my house. They were nice enough to let me drive it home to make sure that, number one, it would fit in the garage. Number two, I wanted to have my friend Marty come down, who's had diesels forever, and look at this thing with me and go through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure I wasn't making a mistake. So, you know, with this being a 19, in fact, let me open the hood. This has all the after treatment system on it. And I know the really popular thing to do is just yank all that crap off, but I'm gonna be honest, I mean, look at how clean that motor is. That's how it looked when I bought the truck too. Absolutely spectacular. But all the after treatment stuff is sitting right there. And that's your EGR cooler, and then all of the stuff is intact, and it is functioning. I have been putting DEF in this truck, so I mean it's all there. But hopefully when I talk into the back of the camera it sounds okay. I didn't bring the lapel mic today, but you know, it's been okay. The regen process is kind of interesting. You know, I'll just hold the camera. So the regen process has been kind of interesting. It regens about once every tank, because I'm pretty strong 50-50, you know, city highway, but like I just pulled about a 7,000 pound trailer up here. I'm actually at the Boy Scout camp in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. I'm working a big shooting sports event this weekend. I am one of the council shooting sports instructors, and I pulled about a 7,000 pound trailer up here, and still did not get this thing hot enough to actually go into any kind of passive regen, which not surprising. You really got to work these trucks in order to get them to regen. But some of the stuff that I've done is I've changed the differential fluid. I changed all the fluids, literally, with the exception of the radiator and the brakes. But that front diff, I mean, I don't know, you might be able to see it. It had a little bit of fluid on it, like it was just barely weeping, and I pulled that cover off and made new gasket material. I bought the Ford, you know, whatever that Ford part number was, but you know, I did the rear as well, just to make sure that that was all changed. I've been putting def in. Whoops, sorry, about dropped you. I've been putting def in the truck. I've put in about 2 containers so far. I think those are 2.5 gallons a piece. If I look miserable, I'm sorry. It's like 70 degrees up here with like 90% humidity. It's disgusting for Colorado. But when I was looking at this truck, one of the things that I wanted to make sure it hadn't been tampered with is I plugged into the computer, OBD, onboard diagnostic port, OBD, and put a code reader on it. And one of the things that you can get information off these trucks is when the last time was the codes were cleared. And I bought this truck with just under 35,000 miles on it, and it said the last time the codes had been cleared was like 34,500 or something like that. So I knew pretty much right off the bat that this was what I would call an unmolested truck. The codes had never been reset, etc. So one of the codes that actually was stored, there was no check engine lights, but one of the stored codes was low fuel pressure on the low side of the system. And after thinking about it and going, you know, the truck has 34,000 miles on it, I'll bet you nobody's changed the fuel filters. So I bought fuel filters, changed them. They were disgusting. I will put a picture in here of the tank side filter. Let's see, some of the other things. The headlights on this, it's all halogen. Everything in here is halogen, and they suck so bad. It's mind-blowing to me that in, you know, this day and age, you still get halogen headlamps with a truck. But even in 19, my Power Wagon came with LEDs. So I added a high idle controller. In fact, I'll just show you that because those are kind of handy. That just plugs in on the passenger side, like down there, into the PTO controls, and we'll kind of go through the truck here. I also just recently got this Banks iDash. That's not a tuner. That is just so I can watch temperatures and things that the computer won't tell you about, like exhaust temperatures, things like that. Oh, and the only other thing that I knew was wrong during the test drive, because I could feel it, was the sway bar end links. One of them was bad. Let's see if I can get that up in there. So I ended up putting new sway bar end links on and got rid of a clunk when you were when the front axle would articulate over like curbs and stuff, and got rid of a thunk. So so yeah, I mean, it's a pretty honest to goodness good truck. I can tell that's original fluid from 19, just, you know, the color, it hasn't been changed out or messed with. The brake fluid was really clean when I looked at it. I did just put batteries in. I opted to do that just as a preventive thing because they were OEM. They were the flooded, like the acid, you know, flooded batteries. Not a big fan of those. Plus, when I would start the truck up, my ham radio would reset and reboot. I added some power into the back seat. There's the fuse block right there that's running up to the battery. I tried to keep it real factory looking, but it's tight in there. You really can't even hardly tell that it's there. So I tried to really make that look OEM. But let's see. That's kind of it from a standpoint of like what did I have to do to this thing? Like nothing. I've been driving it. I put mud flaps on. I always forget about that. I am going to put a different bumper on. I would like to put a winch on here. and I've got a bumper priced out. I've a little bit overextended myself temporarily while I was redoing a bathroom. So I got to get the bathroom paid off. Toolbox came off the Power Wagon. My brother got me that for my birthday. That is Built Right Industries panel mount. I don't have anything on it yet, but what I want to do is put a set of high lift brackets here so I can put the high lift in here. It does have the factory gooseneck prep, which is awesome. It also gives you an outlet right there in the bed. That's just spare water for this weekend. And it comes with this Kahonga freaking 3-inch jack, or a 3-inch hitch. So I had to go get the 3-inch to 2.5-inch down to 2-inch reducer. So interestingly enough, there's your max trailer weight, 21,200, max tongue weight 2120. This number is interesting because if you were to run 10% tongue weight, you know, you get 2,120 pounds. Let's come over here to the door. This is always the interesting thing. I thought when you got the 3-inch hitch, you were supposed to get the 11.6 gross vehicle weight rating, but this still says 10,000 on it. So it's very interesting. Like, something doesn't match up here, because look at my total cargo. If I turn it too much, it'll rotate the image, but 1,946 pounds of total cargo, occupants, etc. But look at, you know, so 1946, and then back here you get 2120. So something doesn't match up here, and whoops, I'm gonna wipe you off there. Something doesn't match up here, and I don't understand that. That sticker should say 11.6, not 10,000. So I don't get it. And when you look the VIN up at this truck, it shows that it's got the high capacity trailer tow. It also has the supplemental cab heater. It's a pretty pimped out truck for 19. This was a good find, which is why I had to move on it very quickly. I mean, it is in really good condition. Just, you know, for a 4-year-old truck, well, 5 model year, but 4-year-old truck, very minimal scratches. The seats were immaculate. The center console's great. There was no scratches anywhere in the inside. Like, everything was just really, really clean. Even in the back. I could tell that whoever had this truck before me, they had kids. This doesn't hold on to anything. When you plug in, it just falls out. So I actually need to fix that. I just figured that out the other day. But USB ports work. The rear heated seats work. It's got the factory subwoofer. It's got this little cargo storage there. That's because I'm up here by myself for 24 hours and the bears are out. Don't think I'm going to need that, but you know, you never know. And here comes the rain. So let me jump inside the truck here since it's trying to rain, and we're going to talk about Ken Garff Ford. All right, so it's kind of sprinkling. I figured I'd just jump in the truck. You'll probably be able to hear me better anyway. So let's talk about Ken Garff Ford in Greeley. I buy my trucks in Wyoming for a reason. Unfortunately, they didn't have what I was looking for, and I tried to buy from them, and called up there. They didn't have anything, wasn't getting anything. So that's when I started my search on Car Gurus and found this in Greeley, and even in the back of my mind went, it's probably not going to be that bad, but it was. First off, I want to say the salesman that I worked with, his name was Arturo. He was absolutely fantastic. Very polite, really great young man. I say that because, I mean, look at that. He's got to be probably in his upper 20s to low 30s. So great guy. He was great to work with. But I've got to say, this is one of my big pet peeves with dealerships, is the games. I can't stand the games. We make an offer on this truck, you got to go talk to the sales manager. For whatever reason, that round trip time between the time that he goes over there and finally gets to talk to him and comes back is like 30 minutes. It's 50 feet away, literally 50 feet away. And it was like a 20-something minute round trip every time. and it was getting irritating. Maybe that's how most of the Colorado dealers are. That's not how it is in Wyoming. There is none of that back and forth bull crap. I was double charged dock fees. On their webpage, it shows that the dock fee is included in the price. And the price of this truck was supposed to be, with the dock fee, $61,184. And I ended up getting tacked on an extra $799. That's an asinine dock fee, too, just so you know. It doesn't cost $799 to fill out paperwork. So the price that was on the line on the sales order should have been $60,385, and then you go down and down and down, and there's dock fee, $799, $61,184. I missed that. That is my mistake. I think they do it on purpose because the other gentleman that was in there at the very next desk over caught the exact same thing, that they did not include the dock fee in the purchase price of the truck. So it took me months to get that money back. I ended up having to call Ken Garford corporate, ask what is going on with this. Why am I not getting my $799 back? And it kind of went downhill from there. I have a second page. So when I was filling out the paperwork with the salesman, I filled out a paper WEO statement that said that they owed me a second key because this truck only had one key. And they owed me a trim piece on the roof that was damaged, and they owed me, it was actually a warranty item. The recall for the rear camera is kind of foggy. Those aren't even available yet, so I wasn't too worried about that. I said, great. He said, the salesman said that the parts have been ordered, and will be here like within, I don't know, like a week or so. And I said, great, I got a job in Wyoming I gotta go do. When I come back from that in a couple weeks, I'll call and get scheduled. So I called to get that service appointment scheduled, and the parts people were like, what are you talking about? We don't have any parts in order for your truck. So I made them do some digging around and figure out where in the hell my parts were. And come to find out, the keys were on back order and wouldn't be available until July. I said, well, that just doesn't work for me, because I'm not going to be driving around a truck with one key in case you lose it. This has got push button start. So if you lose that fob, you're kind of screwed. So I called up to my favorite dealer in Wyoming and said, do you have keys for this truck? And they go, yeah, we got like a whole bunch of them in stock. Come up and get one. So I went up and they programmed it for me. It was like $300, something like that. And they go, hey, you know, you got a recall on this truck too, right? I go, seriously? And it was a emissions control system update, some kind of PCM flash that I guess if there was something wrong with the after treatment system under the truck, it couldn't properly communicate to the engine computer to illuminate the check engine light. So that was a big controversy. I think it was like 20E07. That was a big controversy. Some people had that flashed on their truck and it ruined the truck and blah, blah, blah. And so I said, well, you know what? I live in an emissions control area. I have to do emissions. So flash it. No difference at all. But I found it interesting that Ken Garf sold me a truck with an emissions recall on it and did not program the recall. So that was kind of like another like negative on the whole buying experience. Ultimately, my 30 days on the WEO statement expired. And that was kind of irritating because now I'd spent 300 something bucks on a new key. And I did get the trim piece fixed. It had just popped up, and the only way to fix it is to pull the rear window, and I wasn't going to do that. So I took a whole bunch of that black RTV, smeared it in there, smashed the thing down, and it looks fine. In fact, I'll even show it to you. It looks totally fine. So you can see left one, that right one was popped up when I bought the truck, and I don't even know if the GoPro is going to focus on that. I smeared a bunch of black RTV in there and just beat that thing down across to that little button rivet thingy that holds it in. And literally the only way to do that right, from what I could tell, is yank the back window out. So screw that, we're not doing that. Finally, I had ended up getting a hold of Tyson, who's the general manager of the Greeley Ken Garford. Nice guy. I do believe what he told me was factually correct. He understood how horrible this transaction went, and he made it right. Not only did I get my $799 second dock fee back, they cut the cost for the second key because they owed me a key. So they reimbursed me the cost of the key, which is absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate the fact that they did that. One of the things that I discussed with him was in the manner that the transaction had occurred, was this back and forth with the sales team to the GM or the not GM, he's the GM, the sales team to the sales manager, and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And come to find out, that guy that was the sales manager when I bought this truck in April is not there anymore. He apparently was terminated, and I've been in the dealership multiple times since, and he was not there. So I do believe he was telling me the truth, but the amount of runaround that I got on this, like this whole thing, the amount of runaround that I got, and nobody answers their phone, nobody returns a phone call. It's very hard to get people to return calls there at the dealership. When you walk in, every single phone that you walk by, the red light's flashing that they have a voicemail. And it's just, that's irritating. That's super irritating. And I'm not trying to be like slanderous. I'm stating facts. These are things that I've seen, things that I experienced, and it was nuts how this went. I have never ever had a truck buying experience go this poorly ever. And I have bought vehicles in Colorado before I started doing it in Wyoming, and they weren't that horrible. So one of the other things that really kind of pissed me off was I found a GPS tracker on this truck, and I explicitly refused because they told me that's a hard add-on, and that is BS. There is no such thing as a hard add-on, and I flat out refused. That was going to be a deal killer. I am not paying $1,000 for a GPS unit. This truck has the Sync, Ford Sync 4 on it, I think is what it's called, and you can already track it and all that crap right through the app. You can remote start it, all that. And I did not want to pay for that. And they said, okay, it's not really on the truck yet anyway. We went out and looked. And then a couple weeks later, I was looking up underneath down here, and I found a GPS unit hiding up under the dash down there, down low. So I kind of chewed some butt on that. And he flat out, the GM, Tyson, flat out admitted they put GPS trackers on these vehicles because they need to be able to recover them in the event that you stop making payments on it. And I said, well, I took it off and threw it in the trash. So too bad. I am not 100% sure if I'm going to be willing to do business in Greeley again. I am still on the fence. The reason why this took me so long to release the fact that I bought this truck is I didn't have the paperwork necessary to go get my plates. In the state of Colorado, you have 30 days by law as a dealer to provide the buyer of a vehicle with the information required to go get your plates, title, paperwork, whatever you want to call it. And they did not do that. And I had to start getting very aggressive before action started happening. I had to go get a new temp tag. That's one of the trips I made over to Greeley. And I am still debating on whether or not I'm going to file a complaint with the Colorado Department of Revenue. There's an auto industry division of the Colorado DOR that regulates dealerships, and this is right at the top of their list. It is the #1 thing that you can file a complaint about, is a dealership not providing you the paperwork that you need within the legally required amount of time to register your vehicle. So I had to drive around on temp tag for 3 months-ish, somewhere in there. And it's kind of ridiculous because I needed to get this closed out. This is a business expense. I need to get these plates paid for. So it's kind of one of those, it's kind of irritating. But from a standpoint of just like awesomeness of the truck, I know going into this that this is not going to do very well off-road. But that is not why I bought it. I bought it to do truck stuff. I needed to haul trailers, sometimes heavy. I needed to haul my work gear. And just a little fun fact, the trailer that I pulled up here to the scout camp, when I do it with my power wagon, again, usually 5 to 6 miles to the gallon, I am sitting at, I believe, 10. I've been driving around the camp a little bit, so let me see here. Yep, 9.9. So I've been driving around the camp here just a little bit. Like I had to come down to the shooting ranges and stuff. I'm going to walk around in there and make sure everything's good to go. But so my fuel economy has basically doubled pulling trailers, which is notable. I'm also getting between 17 and 20 50/50 city highway driving. So I am extremely happy with this truck, and I took a gamble on buying a diesel because I've heard all the absolute just horror stories of the after treatment systems and how just miserable they are to maintain, and I'm not running into any of those kinds of problems. So yeah, I have my plates. Yeah, I mean, look at that thing. It looks good. I got like a red truck thing going on right now, and that wasn't intentional, but this was the color that was available. So let me know what you think. I'm curious. I sold the Power Wagon, and I'm sorry. I know I've got some subscribers over that, but hopefully you'll stick around, because there's still going to be Power Wagon stuff. I'm still going to go four-wheeling with my Power Wagon friends, whether I take the Bronco or this truck, I don't know. Once I get... All right, camera got too hot because I like to leave the screen on when I record, and that caused it to overheat. But what I was saying was, I hope you don't go anywhere, because there's still going to be Power Wagon content. I'm going to go four-wheeling with the Power Wagon guys. I'm going to put a winch and a bumper on this probably sometime this winter. I mean, that's expensive, so I've got to recoup some money after this big remodel I was doing at my house. But anyway, yeah, let me know what you think. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you sticking around. Appreciate you getting over 26,000 subscribers. I never thought I'd have a YouTube channel that had any viewers, to be honest with you. I just put stuff on here for people to watch and have fun, and basically make memories of my four-wheeling trip. So the fact that y'all are watching, I appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you later. Have a good one.